This bill isn't really about banning TikTok. It's never about what they say it is. Instead, this bill would give enormous and terrifying new powers to the federal government to punish American citizens and regulate how they communicate with one another. For example, the bill would regulate, quote, certain transactions between persons in the United States and foreign adversaries. Now, what's a foreign adversary and who gets to decide? Oh, well, the Secretary of Commerce and the DNI, not the Congress, get to decide what foreign adversaries are. If the Biden administration decides that you're doing this, then the Secretary of Commerce can then enforce, quote, any mitigation measure to address any risk arising from any covered transaction with any person or with respect to any property subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. These covered transactions can involve, quote, current, past, or potential future transactions. And the mitigation measures include, but are not limited to, throwing American citizens in prison for 20 years.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering. I want to take this opportunity to really try to mobilize my viewers to get and talk to their representatives, because the more information that comes out about this ban TikTok bill, otherwise, conveniently named the Restrict Act, the worse it gets. This is an important time. Make sure you leave a like on this video. Make sure you share this video. I'm going to go through some of the new information that we now know about the Restrict Act, and I'm going to try and break down why it's so important. We're starting to get a lot more interesting people involved in the conversation. James Lindsay here writing that Restrict Act looks like a nasty scam. You find a lot of new people coming into the conversation about this. And yes, I believe that a TikTok ban, while initially probably good for Western society, doesn't go far enough. It doesn't prevent the next TikTok. It doesn't actually address more security concerns that exist, because there are other apps that are, accessible to the Chinese government that, people don't seem to care about. So, I think it needs to go a little bit further, but there's a lot of reasons why this TikTok app and the Restrict Act need to go away. The Restrict Act, you can see this article, is exactly what it sounds like. And we're going to get into that after a really quick word from this video's important sponsor, Meta PCs. Huge shout out to this video's sponsor, Meta PCs. Look, you've been around, you know that I've been talking about Meta PCs for a very long time. In fact, it's the primary computer I use. But it's not just because they're a sponsor. It's for so many more reasons. They have fully customizable, configurable PCs and all the hardest to find parts in stock and ready to go. They also have ready to ship PCs ready for you today. Here's a couple reasons why I like Meta PCs. First and foremost, it's veteran ownership. Meta PCs is a veteran-owned business. One of Meta's owners has served both in Afghanistan and Iraq and received a Purple Heart for his service. Meta also employs military veterans in Meta's Operations Center and also provides systems to veterans going back to school to help them re-enter the workforce all across the United States. They offer financing. It has 100% US-based sales and support. And when you receive your PC, it's ready to go right out of the box. You don't have to get complicated and set things up. You just plug it all in and you're ready to rock. And on top of that, Meta PCs is offering you, my viewer, a huge discount when you use the link in the description or you use promo code TheQuartering. If you use my code at checkout, not only do you save money, but you support my content and a company that will not bow to cancel culture. So maybe you're not ready to pick up a new computer today, but when you are, remember to go to metapcs.com and use promo code TheQuartering to support me and to save money. And everybody wins. Yeah, obviously you might not be in the market this instant for a new computer, but it's the computer I use. It's the computer I recommend to friends and family. They've been a strong supporter for the channel. And if you can remember, promo code TheQuartering, I put together a nice landing page that kind of lays out some systems for you to check out. But yeah, check them out. So this via PJ Media. The Restrict Act is the very definition of a Trojan horse. Innocuous on the outside, lethal on the inside, and is being wheeled towards the gates with the help of Republicans in Congress. Ostensibly, the Restrict Act is designed to protect Americans from TikTok. You know, that nifty piece of Chinese spyware masquerading as a fun way to showcase dance videos, bad behavior, and other things people can live without. And Congress is interested in protecting the country from bad international actors That's because it can be done via the Restrict Act, which will do far more than keep TikTok off your phone or tablet. How much more? More than you ever thought even possible under this administration. It goes after anyone whom the powers that be deem to be a threat. That determination is made by the Secretary of Commerce. A threat can include people abroad and United States citizens. The scope of the technology can be monitored, curtailed, or prohibited. The scope of technology that can be monitored, curtailed, or prohibited is lengthy. You should be concerned about all of it, but specifically wireless local networks and mobile networks. Any software, hardware, any other product or service integral to data hosting and computer services, internet hosting services, cloud-based distributed computers, your doorbells, all this kind of stuff, right? Suppose you find yourself on the enemies list for something you posted online, a thought you expressed or a transaction you made, or a site maybe you visited, say like PJ Media, and you will naturally want details and you won't get them. You can't even try filing a Freedom of Information Act request. Good luck with that. You better bring a lunch. I mean, it's absolutely, this is how insidious. This is why the Democrats are supporting it. They fool us all, essentially. A lot of people were saying, wow, why, that's curious. Why are the Democrats supporting this? This via Vox, there might be a new way to deal with TikTok in DC, a bipartisan bill from the Uniparty that isn't a TikTok ban, but it could lead to one. It also doesn't just address TikTok or parent company, the Chinese-based ByteDance, but all technology companies from countries that have been identified as countries of concern. Today, everyone's talking about TikTok. Warner said in a press conference announcing the bill, but before there was TikTok, there's Hawaii and ZTE, and before that, there was Russia's Kaspersky's Lab. Remember, they had antivirus software. So the restricting of emergence of security threats that restrict information and communications technology, Restrict Act, which Warner and Thune unveiled on March 7th, gives the Secretary of the Commerce the power to take action against technology companies that are based in certain countries deemed to be foreign adversaries, including China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, Venezuela, and Cuba. That would include banning their information and communications products and services, but the government would be allowed to declassify documents that make that case that an extreme step is actually necessary. Something so far that's been missing for most of the arguments for the TikTok ban, which are only rooted in what could happen and what not actually has. Well, I wouldn't disagree. I would disagree with that. I think that we've already seen several times where China has said, oh, nobody back in China has access to this, and then we find out that they actually did. Our tools to date have been relatively limited, Warner said. We lack holistic integrancy, whole of government approach. This bill, he said, would do just that, and it would give the government the ability to deal with future and potential technology threats. Sure. But the thing is, the Biden administration does not need additional authority from Congress to address national security concerns about TikTok. It can approve a deal negotiated with CFI US over 2 years that it has spent the last 6 months reviewing. TikTok spokesperson Brooke Oberwetter said in a statement, a U.S. ban on TikTok is a ban on the export of American culture and the values to a billion plus people who use our service nationwide. I don't care about that. They already have the tools. You see, if the bill gets passed, we will lose almost all privacy we have. The attached screenshots highlight only a few concerns with this bill. This is a thread from Dr. Lynn Finderella. Any software, hardware, or other product or service integral to telecommunications products and services with over 1 million users would now be the government's disposal to review, prosecute, and take possession of. They can review any and all of your personal information without even notifying you that they are doing so. They can ban any game, application, or thing they deem fit. The Restrict Act would allow government to access all of the data on your video devices if it is a service that users over 1 million people. So your Ring doorbell, your security cameras, your OneDrive, stuff you host on OneDrive, stuff you host on various other cloud data services. Now, the media has come out to try and run some interference, saying, does TikTok ban allow for a 20-year prison sentence? They are saying that, in a way, it doesn't, right? The ban's criminal penalties, which include a fine up to $1 million and or imprisonment of 20 years, has caused some alarm among the bill's observers who have questioned whether some of TikTok fanatics might face jail time for using a VPN. But a spokesperson for Senator Mark Warner, the bill's sponsor, told Newsweek that it would not apply to individual users. Under the terms of the bill, someone must be engaged in the sabotage or subversion of communications technology in the United States, causing, quote, catastrophic effects on U.S. critical infrastructure or interfering in or altering the result of a federal election in order to for criminal penalties to apply. Except we know how that works. The thing is, that doesn't really, satiate they come out to try and defend it, but this doesn't really make me feel any better because I know the government will just say what they want. They'll just say that you're doing these things, right? They'll say, oh, well, they said like John Q, trailer park guy who had 7 followers on Twitter was worth an FBI follow. Quote, the bill is aimed squarely at companies like Kaspersky, Hawaii, and TikTok that create systemic risks to United States national security, not individual users, she clarified. While the Restrict Act seems widely supported across party lines, there are some groups of progressives, including Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who made her first TikTok to address the opposition. Now, here's the thing. AOC did not stand up against the Restrict Act. She only stood up against banning TikTok because she knows most of her voters live on it. Because the Restrict Act is being backed by a number of GOP senators, it could put them at odds against Hawley, who is hoping to see unanimous consent again. Among Republicans listed as co-sponsors for the Restrict Act are Senators John Thune, Deb Fischer, and of course Mitt Romney. I do not support the Restrict Act. It needs to be thrown out immediately. There's also a potential crypto ban. Coin Center raises the alarm on the Restrict Act. Now, this is an interesting other possible thing. This is what happens. Like, remember when we had the Patriot Act and then they took away our online poker? Like, there's all these other things that they sneak in there. You could see cryptocurrency advocacy organization highlighted several problems with the bill, including its potential to block and restrict access to open protocols such as BTC networks. Moreover, Coin Center drew parallels with the existing Office of Foreign Assets Control system, but crucially pointed out that the Restrict Act differs by curtailing recourse, infringing on First Amendment rights. Quote, the act creates a redundant regime paralleling OFAC without clear justification. It significantly limits the ability for injured parties to challenge actions raising due process concerns. And unlike OFAC, it lacks any carve-out for protected speech. In August of 2022, OFAC sanctioned cryptocurrency mixer Tornado Cash over claims that they were laundering $7 billion in digital assets. The crypto community generally saw this move as another instance of government overreach and attack on privacy. At the time, Coin Center questioned the legitimacy of the sanctioning in an inanimate tool that can be put to good or bad uses like any other technology. They also warn, if such an unreasonable and overbroad interpretation of the Restrict Act was made, we'd be fighting it in court. Coin Center said it does not object to sanctioning actual foreign adversaries, such as transactions involving North Korea ransomware incidents. However, it raised concerns that powers granted under the act could be utilized even if there's no foreign adversary. Similarly, the organization further objected to the potential scope in misinterpreting wording to enact banning on entire asset classes, such as all Bitcoin classes. The Restrict Act is extremely dangerous. It cannot pass in its current form. We need to let our current government know to stand against this. I hope that you will as well, and we'll talk to you again real soon.